Hello. Yep, I'm Michael. I'm an iOS developer for an insurtech startup called Risk. And this is very weird because this is going to be a hyper-condensed version of a talk that I'm going to be doing next month in Poland. So shrinking 45 minutes into 4:45 is going to be fun. It's also weird because when I do it in Poland, I'm going to be doing it with this guy. This guy is Roman. He's an Android developer who I used to work with, and we kind of came up with this idea for this talk. So what you're seeing right now on the screen are a few of the snipes from the recent announcements by Apple and Google. I'm sure this year's round will be just the same. Tim and Sundar, iOS and Android, like cats and dogs, always telling the world that theirs is the better choice. Well, maybe Apple is about to win. I mean, yesterday, Ibiza told us that you can now write Swift on the back end. And tomorrow, Irvind will seal the deal. But hang on, Android is Java, and there's tons of back-end services in Java, so maybe Android has already won? Well, you know what? I really don't care. This stuff is really dumb, and I hate that every year our supposed technology leaders get up on stage and they take pot shots at each other. It's very childish, and I think that by following their lead, we're being basically just as childish. See, what I'm actually here to tell you is that with a little extra work, you can not just move up the stack, but you can move across mobile platforms too. So who here has heard of Swift? Of course you have. Swift is, as we all know, the new language from Apple that can be used to write apps, and as Ibiza told us, it can be used for server-side now as well. In terms of headlines, it's dominated recently. It's currently number 12 in the TOB index, as you can see there, for all the fun things that we get from it, from like type inference to optional, structs, enums, all that functional programming goodness to get excited about. But if you scroll down the list, we'll eventually get to here. Yes, I'm talking about Kotlin. You're probably thinking, well, what the hell is he smoking? Because ActionScript is more popular than Kotlin. But take another look, and you'll see in there is also Clojure, and Rust, and Erlang, and Groovy, and Haskell. All the cool kids hang out behind the bike sheds, right? So yeah, Kotlin. It's the new language from the guys behind JetBrains. From JetBrains, the guys behind AppCode and IntelliJ. And it's used you can be used pretty much anywhere that the JVM is available, including for apps and server-side systems. Unlike Swift, it's not from Apple, and so it's not making anything like the headlines that Swift is, but I think you should take a look. That's exactly what Roman and I did when we decided to write a couple of apps for this talk. One for Android in Kotlin, and one for iOS in Swift. We paired as much as we could, and having got them working, we also decided to write a little server for each, again, in Kotlin and Swift. You want to see some code? Want to see some code? Excellent. If you know Swift, this might look familiar to you, even though this is Kotlin. If you know Kotlin, this might kind of look similar too. Again, a little bit more Kotlin, a little bit more Swift. And I promise you, we didn't really do anything to make it that way. I think it's very readable. So, a new language for iOS that can also be used on the server that looks a lot like Kotlin. A new language for Android that can also be used on the server that looks a lot like Swift. Let me try that again. A new language for iOS that can be used on the server that looks a lot like Kotlin. A new language for Android that can also be used on the server that looks a lot like Swift. Are you getting it yet? Yeah, you can be your own back-end developer, and that is going to be fantastic. But if you think bigger, you could start to be a cross-mobile platform developer too, and that could be super fantastic. I still don't seem convinced. Well, just imagine this. You're an Android developer writing code in Kotlin. Your company wants to add a new feature to both apps. Instead of pairing with another Android developer, you instead pair with one of the iOS team. Let's make this really interesting and say that you build a microservice in Kotlin to go with it. Once you're done, you switch and you build the same thing for iOS in Swift. It works because the languages allow syntax familiarity, but you have a platform expert to guide you as well. It's efficient because while you do have to write the code twice, you'll also get to share models and business logic, most of which is in the server layer that you just built. And as we all know, solving the same problem a second time is easier, faster, and tends towards better code. It's also effective because, of course, you get shared knowledge benefits. So, to close up, definitely think about writing your own backend services. Maybe think about writing those services in Kotlin. If you already have backend services, think about something like a backend for frontend, maybe in Kotlin. Then you can extract business logic from your existing API and from your apps and implement it once. If you know Swift, learn some Kotlin. If you know Kotlin, well, learn some Swift. If you know Java, learn some Kotlin and then some Swift. You can see where this is going. If you know Objective-C, learn Swift, then Kotlin. And if you don't know what any of those languages are, yep, go with React Native. Come on, let's delight in writing native code in modern, type-safe, type-inferred, functional, compiled languages that have been designed from the ground up to support the platforms and stacks that we use. Let's stop fighting like cats and dogs, and let's instead snuggle up in our basket together And maybe, chew each other's ears a little bit. Exactly on time.
Perfect. Thank you. Cheers, Michael.